Brian Mudd Show is on News Radio 610 WIOD.
Over the past week, 600 daily cases more than we had before in Florida. You can take a look at areas that, like Miami-Dade, where you have a lot of spring breakers. No question there's been a disproportionate increase that way. So kind of on this note, it ties in with, we are joined, by David W. Johnson. Now, he is with Foresight Health, and the website is the number 4sighthealth.com. And David, we take a look at the rising cases. It's not just here in Florida. It is across the country. Now, we haven't seen huge spikes yet. We are making a lot of progress with vaccinations. We have a lot of people that have already had the virus. What are your thoughts at this point? I mean, are we closer than not to getting through the other side of this thing?
Well, we're certainly closer than we were, Brian. By the way, good to talk to you again. But we've also seen this movie before, that when you start to see these the plateauing of new cases and then the slight increases, that often leads to a spike. And that's what's happening in Europe right now. It's what's happening in Michigan right now. And now what's interesting is, you mentioned the vaccinations, and those are going ahead, I think, at a faster rate than many of us expected even a month or so ago. And in the population of 80 plus, so nursing home population basically, in early January, 75 to 80 people a day were dying, and that's now down to basically zero, one, two a day. And that's because that group has been entirely vaccinated. So the increases are coming, obviously, in the non-vaccinated populations, younger populations, and we do have these different, more contagious variants out there. So while the overall trend is good, we aren't out of the woods yet, and there is some risk near term that we could see another spike.
How real is the concern about just kind of human psychology to where the news has been better? Until this past week, even in Florida, we were continuing to just make progress, bring cases down. The vaccinations, as you mentioned, rolling out quicker than we had anticipated. So there is kind of like this good news cycle that continues. And then maybe people get a little careless because we are seeing and hearing some of that progress. And kind of, aren't as careful as they were before. Is that a real risk here?
Oh, I think so. And, the virus just doesn't care, right?
Right.
It doesn't care. It doesn't care that we've been shut down and frustrated and so on. It's just going about its nasty, infectious business. So I think that's exactly right. How do we dig down just a little bit deeper to manage the social distancing so we can get more people vaccinated? It really is sort of this multiplication addition problem. The vaccine is addition, right? It's 1 + 1 + 1. And we've got about 15% of the country that's gotten 2 shots, and over a quarter that have had at least the first shot. So that's happening. And as I said, with the elderly population, tremendously beneficial impact. But the virus it multiplies. It goes up quickly, and then it can come down quickly. And what we've learned is that's primarily a function of how well we do the social distancing. So we still got to live with this for a while.
David, one of the thoughts that's crossed my mind is, that by the time we maybe get everybody a vaccine who wants one, we're probably sometime into the summer and maybe only a couple months away from the start of the next traditional flu season. What do you think the likelihood is at this point that COVID really just does kind of become the new seasonal flu?
Oh, I think we're going to live with a version of COVID for the foreseeable future. I know of several pharmaceutical companies that are working to bake in a COVID component into the annual flu shot. It's never going to disappear completely, just the same way the bird flu viruses haven't disappeared completely. But we've been able to keep them under control. And, the more we travel, the bigger the population gets, the more connected we are, the likelihood that we'll see future outbreaks like this as well. So forewarned is forearmed on that.
The website, the number 4, sighthealth.com. David W. Johnson, thank you so much for taking the time with us again. Always good information.
Yeah, thank you, Brian, and have a great week.